let's talk about some of the craziest stories at Trader Sam's. Hey everyone, and welcome back to That Disney Girl, and like I just mentioned, today we're gonna go dive deep into Trader Sam's, and we're gonna be looking at the backstories, histories, facts, Easter eggs at both the Trader Sam's in Walt Disney World and the Disneyland Resort. If you have ever been to Trader Sam's, you know it is like the craziest tiki bar you could ever go to. The bar is constantly interacting with you. The cast members are so much fun. The theming, atmosphere, all of the props and details here are so immense and detailed that I just knew instantly that there had to be a backstory here. And also, the name is Trader Sam's, and that's already a character in the Disney canon backstory. If you are here watching this video and you want to know about all these Disnerdy things, you likely have already met Trader Sam's on the Jungle Cruise. So Trader Sam is that head jungle salesman that you're going to get when you are finishing your time up on your 2-week luxury jungle extreme cruise. I don't know. That's who you're going to be able to meet. And if you are here watching today, you've likely passed off his amazing deal of 2 heads for the price of 1 being your own. Okay, so first let's look at the idea of tiki bars and why we went with this sort of tiki bar aesthetic. Tiki bars were like super popular all the way from the 30s through to, I'm gonna say, like the 70s, and once World War II ended, lots of people really enjoyed the idea of going to these tiki bars as a form of escape. The people who were returning from the Pacific Islands from World War II found tiki bars to be somewhat comforting. I think this is because they were able to talk about all the positives, about the beautiful lush landscapes of the Pacifics instead of all of the things that they had to go through. People who were financially struggling during this time, they were able to go to the tiki bar and feel like they were having some sort of a little like vacation. In Florida, there was a literal theme park called Tiki Gardens that I think it was running from the 30s through to the 70s. So from all of that, I think you could start to understand that the idea of tiki and the theme of a tiki bar was insanely popular during this time period. But if we're looking at when these bars at Disneyland and Disney World were created, we're not talking until the 2000s, which is like, I mean, I love a tiki bar, but it's not like a huge craze right now. So why does these facts like matter at all? And the reason is Walt Disney. So if you know anything about Epcot, you know that originally it was meant to be a big city, and in that city Walt really wanted there to be a tiki bar. So it's kind of like by creating Trader Sam's, we are reinvigorating Walt's old idea of having a tiki bar on Disney property, because we know it's something he wanted. And plus, this was something that Walt was thinking about in like the 50s and 60s, just like I said, during the height and prime of the tiki bar movement. So it does make sense and correlate as to why he would have wanted a tiki bar, because it was so popular during the time that he was planning Epcot. Okay, so Imagineers were like, we're gonna build a tiki bar, but they did not know who to kind of base it around. If they're going to create this crazy tiki bar, they wanted it to have like a crazy character to back it up. And of course, by creating Trader Sam's, this was almost like the perfect character, because he is someone who's based in Adventureland. So instantly you're starting to draw all of these adventurous characters in the whole like Disney canon backstory that could be met by Trader Sam. So Imagineers wanted a character that you could convincingly believe would have met Jack Sparrow, Indiana Jones, the cast and crew of the Adventurers Club. And who else better to do this than Trader Sam, someone who works closely with the Jungle Navigation Company, which, as we know, is a company that sails up and down rivers around the world. So Trader Sam really loved doing some mixology. He used lots of different potions and witchcrafts to shrink all of his little human heads into like little fun-size packages, I guess. And he ended up loving mixology so much that he eventually started to try it out with alcohol and figured, I'm pretty successful at this because people are enjoying my drinks. So he decided to create a bar named after him where he was gonna have his very like specific kinds of alcohols and secret ingredients called Grog Grotto. And these were things that he was gonna serve to his guests. But he needed help to decorate the place, and like I said, he was affiliated with the Jungle Navigation Company, and he asked them and all of the skippers to help decorate the place, so he was able to use their help and all of the things they have collected, as well as all the things he's collected on his journeys and adventures around the world, to put this place together. And we're gonna get super Disnerdy here for a quick little second. If you know about the Jungle Cruise and the backstory of the Jungle Cruise, you know that it was run by Albert Falls and then his daughter Alberta Falls. And if you know about Albert and Alberta, you know they were part of the Disney Sea, which is the Disney's secret society of explorers and adventurers. And A quick spark notes is that this is basically a society that is going to tie so many different fictionalized character backstories all together throughout all of the Disney parks all over the world. I have videos, I'll link them down below. It's a 2-part series if you want to watch it, and you're gonna need some time. But long story short is that being involved with an attraction that is so closely knit with the Disney Sea makes sense that we have so many of these crazy artifacts and also so many of these crazy backstories from different characters in the Disney canon backstory that are gonna interweave and intertwine in this bar. Okay, but why do weird things happen when you order your drinks? If you've been to Trader Sam's, like I've already mentioned, the bar is going to literally interact with you. Of course, Disney Imagineers made sure that there was a reason for this. I've already discussed that when you go, Trader Sam's has a very special potion that he likes to put in all of his drinks called Grog Grotto. You can actually see Grog Grotto when you're at the bar. It's gonna be in like a little like container sort of thing. But anyways, this Grog Grotto is something that is very difficult to find. And although he searched far and wide for it, it's something that he had to steal from the tiki gods. So every time you order something that has a little bit of Grog Grotto in it, you piss him off just as much as Trader Sam did when he extracted it from their lands. So that's why they kind of erupt or do something crazy. So that's why you hear, experience, and have to go through everything you do when you're at Trader Sam's. It's kind of like a punishment for touching like the forbidden fruit. Okay, so through my research here, I started to realize that there isn't like a full-fleshed backstory that I can tell you like you're reading a book. But the way that the backstory at this bar is created is by all of the artifacts on the walls and all of the letters and all of the other Disney characters who have seemed to visit this bar at some point in time and they left their mark. And by looking at all of these Easter eggs, we start to put the pieces together as to what this bar's backstory really is. So first we're going to talk about the Adventurers Club, then we're going to talk about Indiana Jones, then we're going to talk about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and then I'm going to tell you about some really cool Easter eggs that are going to tie different attraction backstories, both current and extinct. I'm looking at you, Maelstrom. Yeah, I said Maelstrom. But there are so many different Easter eggs to explore, so let's just jump in. Okay, so what is the Adventurers Club? This is an extinct sort of club, bar, kind of eatery place that was in downtown Disney in Pleasure Island. The Adventurers Club had a fully fleshed backstory with so many different characters that performed at the club each and every single night, and they had such quirky personalities. And the main thing that you need to know is that these people loved adventures. They traveled all over the world. They were part of the Disney Sea, and they knew everyone and everything, and they definitely loved Trader Sam's. So we're gonna see lots of little connections that the Adventure Club members had to Trader Sam. And we know that one of the head Imagineers of the Adventurers Club was Joe Rohde. So of course we need to pay a little bit of respect to him. So when you're in Trader Sam's, you're gonna see a tiki mask that has earlobes that are very specific to one Disney Imagineer. And if you've seen Joe Rohde, you know that his earlobes are crazy decorated with so many different piercings, and that's exactly what we see on this tiki mask. And if it wasn't obvious enough, there's also like a little plaque that says Joe written on it. Let's talk about a few of the letters. There's gonna be a letter from Samantha Sterling, and she talks about how the past 5 days and 10 nights have been really crazy. And when I was reading this, I'm not exactly sure what she means by it, but I'm thinking that she's talking about drinking. I mean, maybe her and Sam were conscious for 5 days, but there were 10 nights in total because they were just drinking and having such a good time. And since this is a bar, I think that kind of makes sense. But if there is an Adventures Club reference, let me know. There is a letter from Pamela Perkins to Alston Gulf. And if you know this about the Adventurers Club, when you were there, a butler was going to come around and give certain people these kind of like characters that they were going to play. You'd open up a pre-typed letter and on it was going to be a description. So if you were Alston Gulf, for example, and you were given that card, you were basically given a letter that was said that you were in the library on top of the bar and you were dancing there all night and you definitely scuffed that bar up a little bit, and now you gotta pay up by paying for everyone's bar tab. So to me this means that Trader Sam probably went to the Adventurers Club and he was given that character of Alston Gulf, which I think is totally congruent to Trader Sam's personality. And if you look up, you're going to see that there is going to be a basket full of things that are from the Adventurers Club. And if you want to make sense of that, there is a note attached, and it's from Pamela Perkins, and she's basically saying that her and the gang are going to head off on another adventure, and in case they don't make it back, They just wanted to be able to give some of their stuff to Trader Sam. So in there you're gonna see Slappy, which is a kind of like a creepy puppet that was operated by the Colonel. There's gonna be a feather duster from one of the maid characters. There's a canteen that is explicitly asked to be filled full of Grog Grotto by the time the adventurers return, and just a few other fun objects in there. There's also a note from the Colonel to Trader Sam about their crazy time in Burma. So it just seems that anytime the Adventurers Club met up with Trader Sam, they had a wild night. There's also going to be a coconut that says Game Ball Playoffs written with the year 37. So right off the bat, you know that the Adventurers Club took place in 37, so that makes sense as a direct correlation. And I've seen other people write about this game ball, but no one, I think, has cracked the code until me. So there was a character named Sutter that was introduced to the Adventurers Club on their final night of performances. And Sutter was competing for the Balderdash Cup in 1937. So I think that this is going to be a reference to the one-time seen character of Sutter, and that this is the official game ball of that 1937 Balderdash competition that he was a part of. So when the Adventurers Club did close down, a lot of the props were given to different parks and ride attractions. There are two official props that are going to be in Trader Sam's. So one thing is going to be a fishing line and the other thing is going to be the ship in the bottle. But the coolest thing about the ship in the bottle is that throughout the entire Disney canon backstory, this bottle has always had one sort of story going on, and it originates with Jack Sparrow. This is going to be the Wicked Wench ship in the bottle, which is so freaking cool because that means that Jack Sparrow was associated with the Adventurers Club. And then that bottle was brought over to Trader Sam's. So instantly we're starting to connect the dots with all of these characters, and they all end up amalgamating at Trader Sam's. There's also lots of like Egyptian sort of photos and symbols inside of Trader Sam's. And I think this is something that attests to Mr. Pleasure. He really wanted to build a watchtower that looked very similar to a watchtower that he saw when he was in Egypt. And you're going to see photos of this when you're at Trader Sam's. And he wanted to do this while he was at the Adventurers Club. And it seems like, although it didn't end up happening at the Adventurers Club, it did kind of happen at Trader Sam's just through the memory of it. Okay, so that was the Adventurers Club, but let's find out why Indiana Jones has such a big handprint on Trader Sam's. If you know about one of the head Imagineers that headed up the design and details of Trader Sam's, you know that he was brought to Disney through a documentary that he did on Indiana Jones. He is so well versed in the whole story of Indiana Jones, and that is why every detail inside of Trader Sam's that has to do with Indiana Jones is so absolutely perfect. Plus, Indiana Jones is part of that Disney Secret Society of Explorers and Adventurers Club, so it's not too far off to believe that he is someone that would have frequented Trader Sam's. One of the coolest things is that Short Round leaves a note for Trader Sam, and he says, please take care of this and make sure that it doesn't hurt Mr. Jones. And at first you might not know what he means, but then you're going to look in that glass case where you see this original letter, and you're going to see that there's like a little voodoo doll of Indiana Jones. And right next to it is a witchcraft book. And literally, who else would you rather give a voodoo doll to than to someone who does witchcraft and understands voodoo and kind of shrinks heads for a living? Trader Sam would be the perfect person to deal with a voodoo doll to make sure that if he's going to destroy it, he's going to destroy it without destroying the person that it is associated with. So I think for now he's just keeping it under lock and key inside of his glass case, but that's something really fun that you can see when you're there. So you're gonna see a few hats around Trader Sam's that might have a striking resemblance to the hat of Indiana Jones, but let it be known that none of these are gonna be indies. When the Imagineers were doing this bar, they knew that they wanted to be able to have Indiana's whip and his hat be at this bar, but Indiana would never leave his whip and his hat. So there is actually a note from Indiana to Sam that says that this whip has definitely got him out of some very sticky situations. So this is now being given to Trader Sam. So that is why we have a whip inside of Trader Sam's. This is a gift from Indiana. It's not his like original whip. So the Imagineers really wanted to have the map from Indiana Jones' adventure inside of Trader Sam's in Disneyland. And when they were looking through their library and Imagineering, they were like, we can't find it, where is it? And it ended up that it was actually in the queue at Indy's desk for the past 16 years. So they ended up making photocopies of it, put one back there, one inside of Trader Sam's, and then one is going to be in the library for safekeeping, so they have that for all times. But you are going to be able to get a close and personal look at this map when you're at Trader Sam's. There's also going to be a postcard on the wall from Marcus Brody, and he's reaching out to Sam because he's like, We haven't seen Indiana for a long time. Do you know where he is? So what that note is doing is reinstating the fact that Indiana and Sam had a really close friendship, and Sam would be someone that people would go to when they needed to know about Indy. There's definitely lots of odes to Indiana Jones when you're at Trader Sam's, so if there are more that I'm missing, I'm sure I am. Let's talk about it down below. Okay, but now let's talk about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. This is a classic Disney film that once had attractions based on it in Disney World. It still does have that in their Tokyo parks, but it also manages to live on through Trader Sam's, and there are a few reasons why, so let's look at them. So there are going to be a set of giant squid arms that are going to kind of wrap around the bar. If you know the backstory of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, you know that the monster is a giant squid, and if you're wondering what that squid's doing today, well, he's hanging out at Trader Sam's. Also, if we're looking at Trader Sam's Grog's Grotto in Disney World, if we're looking at that center table, let's take a look also at the ride vehicle that Disney World once had for 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea attraction. I think that the center table and the center part of this attraction match each other very perfectly, from the kind of oval shape that it has to the way that the stools were built. To me, this kind of mimics and is an ode to that old attraction. I don't know if that's guaranteed to be a thing, but I think it is. And if you're sitting in any of those spots when you're at Trader Sam's, you basically get a perfect view of everyone in the bar when crazy things are happening in the bar and different things are erupting and reacting. You are able to see that. And when you were on the attraction, when you're sitting on those stools, you're going to be able to see everything that was happening around you. So it's kind of mimicking that exact same feeling. And we're going to see some more squid action along the bar. There are going to be tiki masks, and one of them are not going to be like the other because it's a tiki squid. There is also going to be a deep sea dive mask behind the bar. That's definitely going to be a ode to the film. And in the film, there's a section that talks about cannibals and this idea of finding skulls in different places. And throughout Trader Sam's, you're going to see lots of skulls. And I even saw a book that was called Eating People Wrong. So I think we are tying this idea of cannibalism into Trader Sam's. And I think that the idea of skulls has a perfect spot at this bar because of Trader Sam's background and how much he is fascinated by human heads, and considering that we only get human heads when he collects his victims and not the entire body, makes me think questionably about him. Is he someone who likes to venture off into the cannibal world? I don't know, I think I'm going a little bit too deep for Disney right now and too dark, but I just think that it is funny, and if we're gonna talk about a cannibal in the Disney backstory, I don't know anyone more perfect than Trader Sam. We are going to be able to get a vintage picture of Walt holding one of the squid's tentacles that looks exactly like the one that we're going to see in the bar. So that just, once again, is going to pull in this idea that Trader Sam's is everything Walt wanted when he was imagining and creating everything that Disney had to offer, from the parks to the films to just all of his ideas. Also, I think I'm going to butcher this name, but the main ship inside of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is going to be called the Nautilus. I think that's how to say it. But you're basically going to get pictures of this ship. You're going to get drink cups of this ship. There are literal reminders of this ship all over the bar. So it makes me think that Trader Sam has definitely been on the ship, and that's why he likes it so much. There's also going to be an old hardback edition of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea when you're at this bar. So many other different odes to it, and if you know more about it, definitely comment them down below. But we're going to get into all of these other Easter eggs that tie in little bits of Disney to Trader Sam's. Okay, so when you're there, you're going to see a banjo, and that banjo is going to say H. Gruff on it. And Harper Gruff is actually someone that was dubbed to be Walt's second Imagineer, and he was a great banjo player, so this is kind of just like an ode to him. And it's located in the perfect place because he was an Imagineer that was very crucial to the creation and design of Adventureland, and that is exactly what Trader Sam's encompasses. Of course, there are a crazy amount of ties to the tiki room, from masks that have eyes that move. There's going to be like those tiki drummers at the top part of one of the bar sections. But one of my favorites are going to be Rosita. So let's talk about the Easter egg of Rosita and what she means. Okay, so there is a letter from Josh asking Sam what happened to Rosita. So we needed to figure out who Rosita was and who Josh was. And Rosita was going to be one of the birds from the tiki room in Disneyland. Okay, so Rosita was someone who decided she was going to take her singing voice into a solo career. She left the tiki room and is now waiting by the dock for her boat to arrive. So that's why it's like kind of like a running joke where everyone's saying what happened to Rosita because she left the tiki room. And this is something that kind of happened recently. It happened in 2018. And who was running the Disneyland parks in 2018? No one other than Josh D'Amaro, although he is now at Walt Disney World. I think that this was a letter from Josh to Sam trying to figure out what happened to one of his favorite birds. And the official Walt Disney Archives even tweeted out, we might not know what happened to Rosita, but at least we still have these great pictures of her. So, like I said, it's this idea of a running joke and no one knows what happened to her, but somehow Sam does because she is literally right by his bar. There is going to be a really fun Easter egg for Carl and Ellie from Up. There is going to be their coin jar, which they used to collect money for all of their adventures, and it is now at Trader Sam's. And the reason I love this Easter egg so much is because it kind of has a greater significance to it in my mind. If Carl decided to give this to Trader Sam and put it at his bar, he was deciding that he has gone on all of his adventures, he's lived his adventurous life with Ellie, and now he is deciding to give it to Trader Sam, where Trader Sam can start to use it to fund all of his adventures and, in extension, everyone that Trader Sam meets, which is all of us, all of the guests that decide to visit his bar. So it's kind of extending this idea of giving you the opportunity to go on your adventures of your own by having the little adventure jar there. There's also so many orange bird little artifacts all over Trader Sam's. There's even like a note that says, isn't this appealing? Which, like, it's a play on words on peeling. Anyways, of course, if we're talking Trader Sam's, we need to have those shrunken heads, and we're gonna actually have his family tree here. They are gonna be with all of us, hanging from the ceiling. There is also a really fun little tie to the Jungle Cruise that I really like. There is going to be a picture of one of the elephants and it says my favorite friend Ellie on it. So Ellie is going to be the elephant in the Jungle Cruise that spurts water out of her nose. So by having it here, you're kind of just really tying in the Jungle Cruise attraction. And we are getting to know which animal would have been Trader Sam's favorite. It was going to be Ellie. There's going to be a note from the crew of Miss Tilly that was sent to Trader Sam. So this is going to tie in Typhoon Lagoon, all of the backstories that are here. Again, people that are associated with Disney's Secret Society of Explorers and Adventurers. And it kind of just notes this sort of ongoing theme that we have, that the last time that they hung out with Trader Sam's, they had a crazy night, just like everyone at the Adventurers Club. And I told you guys that there was going to be a Maelstrom Easter egg, and there is. Take a look at this life preserver. This is something that was originally on the attraction and it is now hung up on the wall at Trader Sam's, and it kind of lives on today through that bar. There's also going to be a black and white photo of Dick Van Dyke on the wall. So did he come to Trader Sam's? And on the wall you're going to see a boat wheel, and underneath it it's going to say that a skipper gave this to him and said that it would always lead him in the right direction. He just thought that it was going to come with a boat. So from that you kind of see a little bit of sadness that it didn't come from a boat, and a longing and wishing that it did. And I think deep inside Trader Sam always wants to be a skipper. I mean, he basically lives with the Jungle Navigation Company. We know this because on every postcard it is addressed to Trader Sam, care of the Jungle Navigation Company. It says, please pass this on to him. So we know they're affiliated, but of course, Trader Sam has never been able to be a skipper. He's always just been the head jungle salesman. So I think this was just like a little moment to show that Trader Sam would like to steer his own boat one day. Okay, you guys, so those were all of the Easter eggs, all of the different sorts of notes and letters and backstories that you can find when you visit Trader Sam's, both in Disney World and Disneyland. Everything that I spoke to you guys about today was through research, looking at different people's photos and really zooming in to read what all of the notes said, to experiencing the bar myself. I haven't been to Disneyland's version, but I have been to Walt Disney World's. So by going, you start to note a couple different things, but there is no way that anyone, even someone who'd go there every day, could pick up on every single detail, because there are just, it's like a cluttered mess inside of that bar, but every piece of mess has a very deep and specific meaning inside of the Disney backstories. So that's why I think we need to work together on this, and if you know any other sorts of Easter eggs that are inside of Trader Sam's, you need to comment them down below. It's only going to help us fully flesh out the backstory of Trader Sam and all of the fun pals that he's met along the way, and any other characters that might be affiliated with him. And if you enjoyed talking about all of this Disney-nerdy stuff, you gotta make sure that you like the video and that you subscribe to the channel, because we're gonna do this all of the time. But until next time, I will see you guys real soon. Bye everyone.